Thank you so much for coming this evening. Hello, Ray. All right, I think we're ready to start. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to welcome Senators Capito, Senator Sullivan, Senator Pryor, Congressman McHenry and Ross Leighton, Judge Chad Riedler. Thank you for being with us this evening. I see a lot of familiar faces, Jeff Carneal, Mick Tousley, and a lot of new friends here tonight. Thank you, Louis DeJoy. That did it. Well, as I said, as I look around the room, I see many old friends, as well as new friends who are here tonight. Thank you for coming this evening. Thank you for your generous support. I would just like to take a moment and especially thank a few people. First and foremost, Nick Callio and Airlines for America for being sponsors of our reception. Thank you. I also want to thank our two platinum sponsors, Louis DeJoy and Aldana Vosh and the DeJoy Vosh Family Foundation and Qualcomm. Thank you very much for your generous support. Thank you also to our gold sponsors, Ed Gillespie and AT&T, thank you. Jeff Verhoff and Aiken Gump. Catherine Kroll and Caterpillar. Mark Miller and the Business Roundtable. Jeremy Harrell and ClearPath. TFAS Vice Chairman Bill Hibble and Kirk Blalock and Fierce Government Relations. Thank you. And let me also just thank our honorary co-chairs, Governor Haley Barbour, Nick Callio, Suzanne Clark, Ed Gillespie, Matt Shea, and Jay Timmons. Thank you very much for making this such a success. Before I turn things over to our dinner chair, Jade West, I have several important things to say. On a sad note, I want to acknowledge the passing of a longtime friend of TFAS and a longtime supporter of this dinner, who some of you at least may know, Peter Kravitz of the AICPA. Peter passed away on the 4th of July and was a great friend of ours. Also, last week, a student who attended our Spring Washington Fellows program was tragically shot and killed a few miles from here in a drive-by shooting that wounded three people, him fatally. Eric Tarpinian Jason was a student at the University of Massachusetts. He came to our program in the spring and developed a real passion for public policy. And according to his mother, gained confidence, and that our program truly lifted his spirits. And he interned at Advanced Advocacy. He created such a passion for him that he returned to DC this summer to intern for Congressman Ron Estes of Kansas. So I know we have in our minds the 100+ victims of floods in Texas, but I also ask that we think about Eric and Peter Kravitz and have a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Since many of you are here for our first-time attendees, let me just say a quick word about our mission. We were founded in 1967, and ever since we've been developing courageous leaders who are inspired and equipped to advance the ideas of individual liberty and economic freedom. Our programs this year have a record number of high school students in programs across the United States on 30 college campuses, and students here in Washington, D.C., over 300 attending our programs this summer, and programs in Prague taking place this month, as well as in Santiago, Chile later this year. Tens of thousands of TFAS alumni are making a difference in the world. They serve as members of Congress, 3 of them. There's several dozen or more on congressional staffs. They write for the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Free Press, and many other publications. 7 of our alums work on the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal, 1 now on the editorial board. They're working throughout the policy community, business and government affairs, and everywhere in the life of our nation. They serve in government, federal judges, state judges, representatives to the United Nations for a number of countries around the world. Our TFAS alumni are making a difference, and this dinner, by supporting it, you're helping us ensure that we can develop more honorable leaders for the future who can face the many challenges, the many problems that they will be inheriting from our generation. So now let me turn things over to our dinner chair, Jade West. She's done a remarkable job in making this dinner our most successful ever, and I want to thank her and have you join me in thanking her as she comes to the stage. Jade.
He's taller than me. I'm going to start with a disclaimer. For those of you who've been attending this dinner for repeated years, you will all know that it is usually Kirk Blalock who is up here emceeing this event, and he did it with skill and grace, and you're stuck with me tonight because we got a better place for Kirk to be, and you'll see him later on the podium. But if I stumble along the way, just forgive me because I've not done this before. Roger thanked the donors who gave sponsored the tables and the reception, and I'm going to thank everybody, those who sponsored big things, those who wrote a check, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is a big deal. This is an important organization. It's an important event. It raises scholarships to allow this year, I think it's 280, 300 students to come to Washington and get immersed in what those of us who live in this puzzle palace do every day and learn about how government and business and the media work. In the audience tonight, there are about 50 of these 200, 300 kids are here to kids. I'm sorry, I'm old enough I can get away with that, right? There are 50 of these young students in the audience tonight, so I want them to all stand up so that we can recognize them and give them a round of applause. And I'd be remiss to not also recognize Abby McGovern, who's the program director for this event. So Abby, I can't see anything out there. Well, thank you. Stand up and take a round of applause. You've earned it. And Roger thanked me for the success tonight, but it was not me. We had a dinner committee that worked remarkably well and cohesively and energetically, and they are the ones who, well, let's be honest, they're the ones who harassed most of you into writing a check to come tonight to support this event, and it's really, really important. And I'm not going to name them all, but would the people who were served on the dinner committee with us please stand up and be recognized? Kathy, that includes you. Take some credit. Okay, Roger said TFAS always runs on time, and we're actually running 2 or 3 minutes behind schedule, so I'm going to talk really fast the rest of what I do. and move on with the program. I'm going to introduce now and bring to the stage Piper Davenport, who attends the U.S. Air Force Academy and who is interning in the Secretary of the Air Force Office in International Affairs, and she will lead us in tonight's Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, ma'am. Please rise with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please take your seats.
Thank you, Piper. I'm now going to introduce Madison Evans, who attends Texas A&M, is currently interning at the Office of National Advertisers, and she will give us an invocation. Madison?
Would you bow your heads with me? Dear Heavenly Father, I ask that you would be with us in this room tonight, and I thank you for each individual in this room, for those who have dedicated their lives to safeguarding the American principles, and for those who, like myself, are just beginning this journey. It is because of the generosity and the passion of many in this room that we are able to gather and celebrate the impact of an incredible organization like TFAS. We are grateful for the generous hearts of many that have allowed us to experience a summer rooted in growth, purpose, and joy. I ask your blessing on the future of the young leaders in this room. May their gifts be used for your glory. Lord, would you bless the conversations and the relationships built here tonight and fill them with truth, beauty, and goodness. Be ever present in this room and work through your humble servants. And finally, I ask that you would bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Madison. And now, before we go on with the rest of the program, I'm going to bring William Rafty to the stage, who attends Boston College and is interning at Caterpillar, and he will give a brief testimonial about TFAS. William?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Fund for American Studies 2025 Scholarship Dinner. Thank you to all of those in attendance, our designated award recipients, congressional and business leaders, our TFAS staff, and my fellow undergraduate students on the Business and Government Relations track. My name is William Rafty, and I'm a rising junior at Boston College, studying political science and international studies. I'm honored to be giving this year's student testimonial and share some highlights from my TFAS summer experience so far. This city is all about who you know. This simple advice has been shared with me by almost every professional I've met since coming to Washington, D.C. this summer, stressing the importance of building our network. As a first-generation Albanian American and first-generation college student, this was utterly terrifying. With more family abroad than in the States, and my parents and family friends having little experience with higher education, let alone government relations in D.C., I felt like I was coming in at a disadvantage. However, I never expected that this program would grant me such amazing opportunities I would have otherwise never experienced. The main component of my TFAS experience this summer has been my internship with Caterpillar in their Global Government and Corporate Affairs office. I was ecstatic when given the opportunity to intern with such an influential and notable global manufacturer, and still am in awe of the amazing work and collaboration that is possible at Caterpillar. I'm grateful to have some members of the Caterpillar team in the audience today. To the Caterpillar team, I would like to personally thank you for welcoming me into your workplace and allowing me to learn so much alongside you each and every day. I cannot put into words how much I appreciate the care and effort you have each put into making my internship experience a positive one. In meeting with several congressmen, attending fundraisers and lunches, and working the congressional baseball game, I continue to find myself in environments that I know would not have been possible without the generosity of both Caterpillar and the Fund for American Studies. Throughout my internship, our small group discussions with TFAS alum and our weekly guest lectures from professionals in our industry, I have made lasting connections with and gained knowledgeable advice from experienced leaders here in Washington. This city is definitely about who you know, and our time of networking has only just begun, but TFAS has surely put us ahead of the game. To the TFAS staff, I speak on behalf of my fellow students when I say thank you for making this summer so impactful for all of us. We would not have been given the chance to grow and learn without your constant support and guidance. Finally, to my fellow TFAS students, I wish you all the best of luck with the final weeks of your internships and with whatever you do next. Thank you all for your time, and please enjoy the rest of our dinner. Have a wonderful evening.
We're back on time. That's it until the program begins at about 8:15. Everybody enjoy your dinner.
What I'd like to do first and foremost is recognize the members of the Fund for American Studies Board of Trustees, Randy Teague, Charlie Black, Dan Branch, Jeff Carneal, Peter McPherson, Eric Tannenblatt, Bridget Wagner, Chris Ullman, and Jade West. Would you please stand? Thank you. I am going to continue a tradition at this dinner of presenting an award for Alumni Achievement. This is an important award to us because it recognizes an alum for their significant contributions in their career and their professional field and the many ways they offer unwavering support to TFAS. So let me start by asking anyone here who is a TFAS alum, would you please stand so we can just see who you are? I know many of you are in the government affairs community, and it's great to have you here supporting this dinner. Well, tonight our Alumni Achievement Award is being conferred on someone who exemplifies the core values and mission of the Fund for American Studies. Recipients of this award have achieved considerable success in their professional careers and significant positions as well. They're nominated by our other alumni or faculty and staff in our program, and they're selected based on their professional accomplishments and community involvement. This is a difficult award for me to present because this recipient, I'm a part owner of an NFL franchise, the Green Bay Packers. I have 10 shares. All right. And our recipient is one of those few people from Minnesota who's not a Packer fan. So I'm pleased to present our award this evening to Desiree Koetzle. She stands as a paragon of the transformative impact of TFAS programs. She participated in this Business and Government Affairs program in 2002, an experience she describes as life-changing. She now has over 2 decades of government experience in government affairs and working on congressional staffs. She served as a senior aide to 2 members of Congress, both from Minnesota. She's currently in her 7th year as Chief of Staff to Congressman Pete Stauber of Minnesota. Among her professional achievements, first of all, she's the first in her family to earn an undergraduate degree, getting a bachelor in science in mass communication and a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies. She successfully advised Congressman Stauber, making him the first Republican re-elected to Congress in Minnesota's 8th Congressional District in over 75 years. With her as his advisor, the Minnesota 8th Congressional District achieved the highest voter turnout in Minnesota and one of the highest in the nation during the 2024 election cycle. She recently participated in the Stennis Congressional Staff Fellows Program, a prestigious and highly competitive leadership development program for congressional staff. She's been committed to giving back through mentoring students in our program, mentoring other chiefs and staff and interns on Capitol Hill. She's hosted interns in every position she's held in Washington, D.C. She remains actively involved with us, contributing to our annual Scholarship Awards dinner and serving on our dinner committee, as well as a speaker to students. She's participated in numerous of our programs and programs around the country about women in politics and mentoring. Additionally, she serves on the board of Right Now, a national network advocating for limited government, fiscal responsibility, free markets, and strong national defense. We can clap for that. Desiree, along with her husband and 2 sons, lives in Minnesota, where she grew up. She commutes to Washington, D.C. when Congress is in session. But her dedication to her profession, her community, and to TFAS is truly commendable. Please join me in congratulating Desiree Koetzle on receiving the Alumni Achievement Award. Get the right one here. We'll pose for a picture.
We'll pose. Thanks, Ryan. Good evening, everyone, and thank you to Roger for your kind introduction as well as your tremendous leadership of the fund all of these years. Nonetheless, go Vikings. Receiving the 2025 Alumni Achievement Award is truly an honor, and it's also deeply humbling because I know I didn't get here alone. When I first came to Washington, D.C. as a TFAS student back in 2002, I was the first in my entire family, immediate and extended, to go to college. I didn't have connections. I didn't know anyone in politics. I didn't even know what a bird bath was. But what I did have was an opportunity that TFAS and supporters like you in this room helped make possible. The Fund for American Studies gave me more than an internship. It gave me a sense of belonging in a city that once felt unreachable. It gave me mentors, lifelong friendships, and the belief that I could be a part of something bigger than myself. And it gave me the tools to build a career in public service, something I've been proud to do for nearly 25 years now. It changed the course of my life. It ignited a sense of purpose in me that continues to guide everything I do. Because of your generosity, I've had the privilege to help lead meaningful change to support and mentor the next generation of public servants and to hold the door open for others, just as TFAS has done for me. I've hosted TFAS interns at every stage of my career because I remember what it felt like to be that young student stepping off the metro in awe of the city and wondering, do I belong here? Thanks to you, the answer is yes. To the incredible TFAS board and staff, thank you for continuing to champion the lessons of freedom, leadership, and prosperity for all. You helped shape who I am today, and I will always be grateful for the role you played in my journey. And to every young person here, wondering if their background, their story, or their zip code disqualifies them, I hope my journey tells you otherwise. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for believing in students like me. I promise to keep paying it forward. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. And this is interesting because I have 2 introductions up here in front of me, and I'm only going to use one. As you may have noticed in the program, Senator Dan Sullivan of Alaska is supposed to be here tonight to introduce our congressional honoree. Unfortunately, I'm watching the door because they said he might make it. Dan is involved in a national defense authorization markup at the Armed Services Committee in the Senate. And if anybody knows Dan, he is a 30-year Marine veteran, and there is nothing he takes more seriously other than his wife and daughters than his role as an armed services member. So he is not going to be here tonight. So instead of introducing Dan to introduce Senator Capito, I'm introducing Ed Gillespie to introduce Senator Capito. And if you think I'm really good at this flexibility stuff, you should know that I stood on this stage 2 years ago tonight and introduced Ed Gillespie when he received the Business Award. And I told him yesterday that if Dan didn't show up, I'm going to do the same intro, just shorter, because I wasn't going to rewrite one. So I am introducing Ed, who is a lifelong friend. Ed and I have been friends for longer than either one of us wants to admit. And I'm going to read the bio from my intro of 2 years ago because I really didn't reinvent it. He has shaped public policy on Capitol Hill, as a counselor to a president, in multiple political campaigns, as an entrepreneur starting his own company, as managing director and chairman of public affairs for a strategic communications firm, and now as senior executive vice president for one of America's iconic businesses, AT&T. He is also, bar none, one of the best communicators that the Republicans have ever had on the Hill or elsewhere. And when I first met him, he was doing communications, liaising with me in the Senate from the RNC, and I wish I knew a fraction of what he knows about how to communicate well. And I will end with one note for those of you who don't know Ed well. He ran for the United States Senate in Virginia in 2014 and came within 0.8% of winning a race that nobody except Ed's fan club thought he could win. We were not surprised at how close he was. If the establishment had known Ed as well as we did, they'd have put more resources into the Virginia campaign. He would be United States Senator Ed Gillespie today. And with that note, Ed, podium is yours.
Jade, thank you so much. And Senator Dan Sullivan is very sorry that his duties on the Senate Armed Services Committee have made it impossible for him to introduce his friend and colleague, Shelley Moore Capito, this evening, and sends his regards to the Fund for American Studies and its supporters and students gathered here. Having received the Congressional Leadership Award himself 4 years ago, Senator Sullivan knows and appreciates the important role TFAS plays in supporting these impressive young leaders and to the future of America. For 35 years, TFAS has done the incredibly important work of inspiring the next generation of leaders to embrace and advance the ideas of individual liberty, personal responsibility, and economic freedom in their communities and throughout the world. We are seeing the battle of big ideas rage across our country. Young people, especially those in higher education, are coming face to face with skepticism about democratic institutions, free markets, and the core principles our country was founded upon. That's why TFAS's work is more important than ever. Fostering honorable leadership amongst our young people to fight for a free society is its crucial mission. This year's recipient of the TFAS Congressional Leadership Award is the very personification of honorable leadership. Senator Shelley Moore Capito has led with principled leadership and bipartisan cooperation since she was first elected to the U.S. Senate in 2014. A different outcome than mine in 2014, and one for which we are all fortunate. As chair of the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee and as a member of the Senate Commerce Committee, she has worked hard and effectively to rebuild infrastructure across the country, expand broadband access, champion permitting reform, and unleash our nation's energy potential for the benefit of our economy, all with the highest environmental standards in the world. The success Senator Capito has had in the Senate is no surprise. In 2014, she became the first woman ever elected to the U.S. Senate from West Virginia, a victory reaffirmed in 2020 with the largest Republican margin of victory in her state's history, winning every county in West Virginia. Senator Capito's experience as a college counselor at West Virginia State College, where she championed education for first-generation students, and the work she continues to do in the Senate to inspire young West Virginians and Americans everywhere, make her the perfect recipient for this reward. Senator Capito, thank you for all you do to keep the spirit of American democracy and innovation alive and moving forward in the U.S. Senate, in West Virginia, and in the hearts of the next generation of American leaders across the country. This award is very well deserved. Please join me in welcoming our TFAS Congressional Leadership honoree, Senator Shelley Moore Capito. You got an award you're going to present.
Well, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I thank all of my staff who's in the room for standing up and clapping for me. I do want to tell Desiree, I want to say congratulations to her. Her message was very inspiring. And I also want to tell her that I wish I didn't know what a bird bath was. That would have made my week last week a lot more pleasant. And I want to thank Ed and Kathy Gillespie for everything they've done through the years. He is an excellent communicator. He's been a good friend. Kathy came to West Virginia to have a national meeting of America's 250, so thank you for serving on that. And we're going to have a big celebration in 2026 to honor our nation's birthday. We just went to July 4th, and we took our 7-year-old grandson down to the levee. KC and the Sunshine Band were I even remembered that. And on the way down, I thought I'd talk a little historically. So I said, well, Arch, what are we celebrating today on July 4th? And he goes, Jesus' birthday? And my husband, Charlie, who's here with me tonight, says, no, Jesus would be 6 months old by the time we would be doing this. We didn't last long at the KC and the Sunshine Band, because that's pretty indicative of the mood he was in as we were moving down the hill. But it's very nice to be in the company. I read through your former honorees of the past years, and it's such an honor to be, my colleagues now, Katie Britt, Dan Sullivan's great, Todd Young, and my fellow West Virginian, Joe Manchin, and many, many more. So I am deeply honored to be here. And I'm so enthused and so interested to hear everything that TFAS is doing across the country and has been doing for so many years, quietly but effectively for almost 60 years. I mean, that's quite a tribute to the longevity of the program and the strength of the program and the integrity of the program for all of these years. So all of you who are involved with it and have alumni of the group and present students, congratulations to you. I know the commitment and the vision is a restoration of faith in what women and men can accomplish when they are free and have the opportunity to thrive. That is a righteous and a great motto and goal. And so I think in these troubled times that we see, where we see a lot of campus disruptions, we see a lot of, I just saw it last Monday, our right to protest, and so we see a lot of happiness, but we also see a lot of unhappiness at the same time, and sometimes some pretty vitriolic exchanges on every side. And I think that's hard. It's hard to inspire the next generation to want to do what we do if they see these attacks coming at you, sometimes, many times, very personal, and sometimes not based on fact. So it's hard to do that, but the students that you inspire are going to have that love of country that I think we need to have, and we need to have in the leadership. I just have really two messages for those that are embarking on their careers, and the first one is to get involved, and you're already doing it. You've come to Washington to learn. You're already ahead of the curve. Many people come in my office and they say, how can I get involved in what you do? I said, you have to get involved. Get involved in a campaign. Find an issue that you like. Find a candidate that you like. Just anything that makes you, because there's nothing more that campaigns like than nice, fresh, happy, energetic young people to walk in parades, deliver signs, and all of that. So I know in years to come, not only will you be chiefs of staff of members of Congress such as Desiree, but also CEOs and community organizers in your communities to make your communities better places to live from what you've learned from your experience here. So get involved in your campuses, get involved in your life, get involved in your community, and try to make a difference. I think that's the first thing. I didn't go to school in West Virginia, didn't go to college in West Virginia, but I came home. Why? Because I wanted to live in West Virginia. I wanted to help my own community. I wanted to make an impact in my community. It didn't have anything to do with falling in love with some guy that was from West Virginia, I swear. I tried to convince my parents of that, not very well. But, and we're almost been married 50 years, so it was a good bet. Yeah. So, you know, I got to work. I got to work to start to do the things that I care about and that I felt were important for me. And that's the work that I continue today. So the driving force is my community, my family, my country, my state, of why I'm so compelled and feel that running for Congress, running for the Senate, is something that is not just deeply rewarding for me personally, but I can really make a difference. People say, what's the best thing? Sometimes you can make a difference in people's lives in big ways, like maybe the bill we passed last week, if you like it or not, it's going to make a difference in a big way. Or you can make differences in small ways, like help somebody. Actually, I got a story today. This is a good story, a story of my caseworker who's I could not believe this. 2 people from West Virginia went to Iran, of all places, for a surrogate parent, to have a surrogate, and they were there the day that those bombings occurred to take out the nuclear facilities. So our caseworker went to work to see that they could at least get to Switzerland. Once they got to Switzerland, they could get the passports and everything they would need for their newborn children. Well, I just heard today they're back home. And you think, wow, you can really make a difference in people's lives. And that comes to one of the things, and I think Desiree said this, none of us do this alone. Like I said, I have quite a few folks in here who help me every single day and help the people and the issues that I care about every single day. So you don't do this alone, and I certainly haven't. The last thing I would say is, this is going to sound really kind of corny, but it is true, if you can be a friend. So I'm sitting over here with Patrick McHenry, and I saw Ileana. We served together in the house together. These are my friends. I mean, how are we able, in the times that we spent together, to get things together? You develop the relationships that you need to be able to convince somebody, your friend, that this is the direction that you need or that you want to go. And I'll use one of your former recipients, Joe Manch, as an example. So Joe, remember, he's a Democrat, but now he's an independent. Yeah. But we won't talk about that. But he and I are different political parties, but good friends, because I knew deep in the heart of Joe Manchin, no matter if we agreed or didn't agree, and particularly when we didn't agree, and this happened from time to time, quite frequently sometimes, I knew he was doing what he thought was right, what was in his heart, to do the best thing for the same 1.8 million people that we represent. I didn't see him as the enemy because he was on a different political party, or an enemy or a foe because we didn't believe the same thing. I just realized that on that day and in that time, because we had this strong friendship, that we'd live to fight another day together. And you know what? We were able to do a lot of good things. And if you haven't been to the New River Gorge Park and Preserves, that was one of the things that we did together in West Virginia that I think will have long-lasting and legacy issues, along with a whole lot of other things. So I use that as an example of how you can work together. So I am deeply grateful and very humbled to be receiving this award, especially in front of so many folks that I've worked with, that we formulated policy with, that we've created our friendships. So keep those friendships. The ones that you meet in your class, the class that you have this year for the students, these are friendships that you're never going to forget. And it's going to be amazing to you when in 10 and 15 years, maybe you're walking the halls of Congress, or maybe you're in an airport, and you turn around and there's one of your classmates. And you say to yourself, remember when we did this together? Remember when we worked on that together? Remember how we had fun when we were in Washington that year? Those are the kinds of friendships that will lead you to perform the great services that you want to serve in your future. So I always like to tell little jokes, and I know I'm at the end of my thing here, but I have to tell this because I have my former House colleagues here, because I was in the House for 14 years. So a lot of people asked me when I went to the Senate, they said, what's the difference between being in the Senate and being in the House? And I said, well, it's kind of like when you're in junior high and you're like, I don't want to go to high school. I'm not going to know anybody. It's going to have to make new friends. I don't know any of the teachers. It just really makes me nervous. And I really don't want to go to high school. But you know what? When you go from the House to the Senate, it's like going from junior high to high school, because it's the same thing. Once you get in high school, once you get in the Senate, you turn around and you look at the House and you go, see ya. So thank you all very much.
As a 20-year veteran of Senate staff, the Senate would be a far better place, Senator Capito, if there were a lot more like you in it than there are today. Okay, before I speak again, I want to draw everybody's attention to the video screens for a brief message from Karl Rove.
Kirk Blalock? Really? Is that the best that the Fund for American Studies could come up with? I mean, for God's sake, the guy who delivers those big bottles of water, the woman who takes care of your plants, the FedEx guy, for God's sake, be better off than Kirk Blalock. Really, what are you thinking? No, seriously. Kirk, congratulations on this honor. Thanks for all you've done for this important group over the years, and for more importantly, being a patriot who served your country, a straight shooter, which is rare in Washington, and a really good man. It was great to be your colleague, and even better to be your friend. Congratulations to you and the Fund for American Studies.
Okay, I just have one more introduction tonight, and I'm introducing the person introducing the person. Again, I met Mark Osakowicz in the early 1990s, I believe, when he was chief lobbyist for the National Federation of Independent Business, the premier small business trade association in Washington. He's been a friend and colleague ever since. More important, he's a longtime friend and former business partner of Kirk, so it's absolutely fitting that he be the one to introduce Kirk Blalock tonight. Mark has had an impressive career in Washington. After his work with NFIB, he helped found the lobbying firm Fierce, Osakowicz, and Blalock. He left the firm in Kirk and others' capable hands in 2015 to join Ohio Senator Rob Portman as his chief of staff. After several years with Senator Portman, he joined Google as their vice president of government affairs and public policy. After the 2024 elections, he returned to the Senate. We won't say anything about leaving Google. He returned to the Senate and is now chief of staff to Pennsylvania freshman Senator Dave McCormick. His previous experience also includes serving on President George W. Bush's transition team, serving as a communications and advance aide for Senator Bob Dole's 1996 campaign. You're going to catch me if I get anything wrong. And early work for members of the House of Representatives. He is a well-respected colleague to many in Washington on both sides of the political aisle. A Democratic lobbying colleague said of him that, quote, his business sense, political skill, and knowledge of how D.C. works puts him at the top of the list, end quote. But I think Mark's own words best describe him, and this is Mark Osakowicz. If you have an opportunity to help create a better society for people, you have an obligation to do it. Growing up in an immigrant household, there's a special love of the United States that gives you a unique perspective, end quote. That is Mark Osakowicz.
It's the right one to pick. Thank you, Jade. What an honor. What nice words. And so great to see so many friends and to share a stage with Senator Capito, who has been such a good friend and mentor both times I've worked in the Senate. And to see the Blalock family again, Kristen and Maddie and Macon, really watched you guys grow up, and great to see you. But I'm here to talk about Kirk. And I don't want to talk about TFAS, and I don't want to talk about Kirk's accomplishments, because you know about both. I want I want to do a little bit of a character sketch of Kirk. I've always tried to be around people who were better than me, smarter than me, and could teach me things I needed to learn. Kirk Blalock is near the top of that list. Our firm founder, Don Fierce, put Kirk and me together, and we became business partners in 2003. After many breakfasts at the Hay Adams during his years at the Bush White House, he then joined our firm as a named partner. We quickly became good friends, had a client list that was growing, and we were getting things done. We were very busy, and on some days, perhaps too busy. The story I'm about to tell you was about 2 decades ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday, and I'm looking at Kirk, and he may not even remember the story. At the end of a full day, I was feeling pretty good about myself. I had successfully completed my meetings from 8 in the morning till 6 at night, returned some calls in between, hosted a dinner that evening, and when I was exhausted at about 10 in the evening, I talked to Kirk about all the activity of that day. I remember he looked at me and without judgment or malice said, "What did we actually do to move the ball up the field today?" So I recounted all my meetings and calls and meals one more time, and I said how tired I was, and he just said again, I know about all that, but what did we actually do to move the ball up the field today? To tell you the truth, I was kind of irritated, but right away I knew what he meant. Don't confuse activity with productivity. Don't confuse being busy with getting results. That moment was quintessential Kirk. Have you ever had a moment like this with him, where he punched you in the nose with the truth? Not only is he direct and blunt, but there's a philosophy behind that style. Don't waste time. Decide what your purpose is and go after it. Care enough about your friends or clients to be completely honest with them. Lead by example. Have a bias toward action. Time is short. Sometimes you have to say nice words, but most of the time, you should just go out and do. That is Kirk, but there's more to Kirk. And as the famous leadership coach Simon Sinek teaches, life is not just about what you do, but more importantly, it's about why you do it. Not what you do, but why you do it. I know Kirk's why. Here, too, his approach is straightforward. He loves Kristen and the kids and wants to be a good husband and dad and provider. He believes in free enterprise and wants to be proud of the business he runs. He knows the blessings of liberty require good and smart people to step up and run the country, and he's willing to do his part. He knows it's important to be a leader, but also to have the heart of a servant. If people ask you a question, answer it. If they call you, get back to them. That is his why. And if you take that why and intertwine it with his commitment to the idea that time is not to be wasted, you have a powerful combination. You have Kirk Blalock. And to the TFAS, of all the young people here, to the interns and alumni, in addition to tonight's good meal and camaraderie, please go home with Kirk's example under your belt. Sometimes people in Washington will make you feel like you're supposed to make things sound really complex in order to look sophisticated, or to be cynical in order to appear sophisticated, or use lots of extra words in order to be sophisticated. Put that aside. Try to know what you want. Communicate it directly. Listen and learn and do. Be a part of solutions through actions, not just words. Know your why. The TFAS why is a pretty good start. Economic freedom, individual liberty, personal responsibility. There's an ancient Jewish saying, in a place where there is no one who is worthy, strive to be worthy. It means step up. Don't wait around. Do things for the right reasons. It's what Kirk does every day. So instead of this being an awards presentation, please allow me to turn this into a rather public thank you note. Dear Kirk, your example and your honesty and your bias toward action have made me better in both public service and in the private sector, and you have made a lot of people in this room a lot better. And for that, you have our deepest gratitude, and for that, we ask you to come accept this award.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate the kind introduction and for your brotherhood and longstanding friendship. You mean the world to me, so thank you very much. And thanks to my former boss and mentor and friend Carl Rove. I wasn't quite sure where that video was going, but I think it kind of ended up in a good place. And to my partner in crime, Jade West, for chairing this dinner and serving as the MC tonight. I think you might have taken my place in your performance, so thank you for that. To Roger Ream and to Randall Teague, both TFAS, great honor of being given this Business and Leadership Award. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Also like to thank Kathy Russo, who pulled this together this evening just to make this a great success. So Kathy, thank you very much. I just wanted to extend my congratulations to Desiree as well for receiving the Alumni Achievement Award. She is the perfect example of everything TFAS fosters and stands for, so congratulations. And as well, congratulations to Senator Capito for receiving the Congressional Award. Senator Capito, as Ed said, is a leader among leaders. She serves as a model public servant, always displaying her dignity, integrity, and poise while proving her intelligence, common sense know-how, and political acumen. She's a true leader in the Senate and a fierce advocate for the people of West Virginia. So thank you, Senator. Congratulations. To the honorary dinner co-chairs, Haley, Nick, Suzanne, Ed, Matt, Jay, and the entire dinner committee as well. None of this would have been possible without you. I know how hard it is, so thank you for your hard work. And a huge thank you to all the sponsors for supporting this, including many fierce clients, longtime colleagues, and personal friends. I think it went a little unnoticed, but packed house. You raised more at this dinner than the dinner has ever raised before, with more people and more sponsors. So congratulations. Personally, I want to thank my incredible wife, Kristen, who makes all things possible, and my two amazing and accomplished children, Maddie and Macon. So thank you for being here. And last but not least, to the team at Fierce Government Relations, who is my family, I'm extremely proud of our work, the values that we represent, the organization that we have built together, and let's just continue to make every day a fierce one. So, thank you. Bringing together college students from across the country here to DC to experience the nation's capital is foundational to my own journey. Like many students here, I too came to town on a summer experience in a similar way, and I was immediately hooked. With sheer luck, I met the intern director for the George Herbert Walker Bush White House, and she offered me an internship after my graduation from Auburn. In January 1991, I packed up my car, I drove to Washington, I moved into my third-floor walk-up room in a Georgetown house. I went to work the first day, I took the Metro bus down Pennsylvania Avenue, I showed up at the old executive office building, and I went to room 185.5. Starting the same day was a new intern and my new desk mate in the Office of Presidential Advance, Rob Nichols, the current president and CEO of the American Bankers Association, who was my first true DC friend. To the senator's point, the friends that you make today are your friends for tomorrow, and Rob is certainly one of those. Just having turned 21 and 2 weeks into my internship, I found myself on the floor of the U.S. Capitol for the President's State of the Union address, posing as a member of the President's advance team. I was obviously in complete awe. At the end of our 4-month internship, Rob and I were sent off to work on volunteer advance teams for the President. It just so happened that the next trip was to Europe for the London Economic Summit, and I was sent to Istanbul, Turkey, which I didn't even know what that was, and Rob was sent to Athens, Greece, which were both side trips after the summit. After 2 weeks in Istanbul, the President was only there a couple days, but towards the end of the visit, Jay Parmer, who ran the advance office, told me I was going to fly back on Air Force One on the backup plane so that I could make an interview the next day with one Lamar Alexander. I said, awesome, what's a Lamar Alexander? Out of sheer luck and good timing and the generosity of Jay, I landed in a seat on the brand new 747 backup plane from Istanbul to Andrews Air Force Base. When I landed, I called my mom and questioned what in the world might be next. How could life get any better than this experience? Well, it has. Fast forward 34 years of an incredible journey working for Lamar Alexander, Haley Barber, Tom Collimore, Karl Rove, the Bush White House, and now with my fierce family and amazing clients in this room, I find myself standing between all of you and the door, so I'll be brief. I became involved in TFAS in 2007 when my very good friend Juanita Dugan, who is no longer with us, God rest her soul, asked me to come chair this very dinner. That year, Eric Tannenblatt, who is here from Denton's and current member of the TFAS Board of Trustees, and I co-chaired that dinner together. Ever since then, it's been my great honor to be a part of the TFAS and this annual event for the organization. The vision of TFAS to win over each new generation to the ideas of individual liberty, personal responsibility, and economic freedom were ones I truly embraced. Those ideals were embedded in me. So I have a few words, like Senator Capito, and like Desiree, of advice for our young interns who were here for the summer program that I've learned along the way that I'd like to share with you. They're pretty simple, but as you chart your journey, just try to remember these. Always be kind to people. Actively seek advice and counsel from anyone you can learn from. Return every phone call and email in a timely way. Say thank you. Write thank you notes. Engage people in person. This is a relationship business and a relationship town. Take the time to build and nurture those relationships. Identify and develop mentors. I've had some really great ones. Some are in this room, and you know who you are. Surround yourself with people smarter than you. Continue to educate yourself on an ongoing basis. Be humble. Give back your time and eventually your treasure to great causes and people who need it. Leave things better than you found them and help the next generation that comes behind you because someone did it for you. Good luck with the remainder of your summer program and internship. Your journey has just begun. I truly appreciate this great honor. God bless you and have a good night.
This is just about over. Congratulations, Senator Capito, again. Congratulations, my friend Kirk. I will remind you that the scholarships that fund these interns are thanks to you all, and Roger told me not to forget to say it's never too late to write a check. So, and we can always use, seriously, we can always use more for the scholarship fund. It is so important, and we are so grateful for all of you. Unless Roger or Randy, unless there's something I've missed. Kirk, you've been up here way more than I have. Have I finished it all? No, I'm not good at jokes. I'm not good at jokes. We are done. Thank you all very much, and the evening is concluded.